During the tsunami, you were the Secretary General's special representative for coordination, correct? And I do remember having worked for an NGO during that response, and the influx of individuals and organizations that wanted to help and do as much as they can. That must have been a great challenge, trying to coordinate all of the actors to make sure that resources were done efficiently. How did you go about taking on that task?
Well, it was a major challenge, you know, in a way, to put some structure around that enormous outpouring and goodwill and the enormous amounts of resources. So I don't think that was where we were more successful, but I do think that the constant dialogue that we entertained, talking with everyone, listening to them, trying to bring people together in a physical sense at the site of the disaster, making sure they link up with the local government, for example, which doesn't happen always, and as soon as possible put some structure into a sense of what's the priorities, you know, extend the time frame in which everyone was thinking. I think that was one of the major challenges, is that for understandable reason everyone is very caught up with the immediate physical support to people, and to bury dead people, to clean up the environment, but already, you know, 10 days into the emergency, you have to start thinking 6 months, 12 months, 2 years down the line. And I remember one of the issues is say, well, we get lots of resources now, but they have to be used over a longer period. So that's the kind of conversation we're trying to moderate also between donors, and in particular, as you can imagine, a bit of tension occasionally between the national governments and these masses of people of goodwill. Difference in attitudes, different sense of what's the time frame and how quickly do you need to spend money, pressure from donors for immediate impact. It was such an emotional period, and I particularly remember that many of the European donors who had their citizens killed were under huge public pressure to show immediate change of something, impact from their money. So in a way, I think good sense that we had building over years of what it takes in an emergency, the significance of the early and post-recovery, all that for a short time was flying out of the windows just under the pressure to perceive to do something. And some governments were at great pains to retain that common sense attitude when they were speaking to their own public at home. So in all these areas we were trying to be the leverage point that tried to introduce a sense of, yes, it's large, but here are the elements, it's going to go on for a long time, don't abandon now this after 6 months when the superficial things have been dealt with. You know, we were also impressed with the fact that the situation in Indonesia, the generosity of the government to basically say, you know, we welcome help. And they did a huge job with the help of the Indonesian military, civil society and the corporate sector, but they were clearly quite overwhelmed by the influx of people, as we all were. So I think, you know, the lesson learned from all this is that we don't yet have a strong enough and commonly known professional framework for international cooperation and disaster relief operation. One of the things that I hope to see in my own lifetime is that particularly highly disaster prone countries, really we can do what we often commit to, is to contribute to their building their national capacity for disaster relief and the immediate neighboring countries. And in that process, that governments also develop a strong competence in how to interact with the international capacity. Having their own sort of insight and knowledge about how to coordinate, knowing more precisely what you can expect, what resources can you draw down, who has got what. These are important things for efficiency, particularly domestically, but of course it will make us all work together much more harmoniously internationally as well. So these are some of the things that I've brought out of that situation.
You have held now senior leadership positions in the United Nations, in the International Federation of the Red Cross. How has the culture, the mandates of the various organizations influenced your leadership style?
Well, as you can see from the types of organizations I've worked with, I very much enjoy the coordination, facilitation work. It's drawing on everyone's capacities, trying to bring them together to concerted action that would be more effective, building a common framework and knowledge base of how to do things, but also in a way how to value what we do, because I think there's a centerpiece of cooperation that is value of itself. Now, how do you do this? You need to listen, you need to engage, you need to be quite curious, to sort of drill down sometimes to the very lowest level of knowledge. But you also need to be very ready to assume responsibility and take decisions, and but do that on a very informed basis of what you understand your partners, your constituencies, your membership, whatever it is, really can bear. Because in a way, the kind of jobs that I have had, you are the one who represent their collective will, but you also have to help to realize in a very concrete manner, and sometimes to produce a little bit of creative leadership to make it stretch even further, to take initiatives that maybe individual countries and members are not ready to take, but together we can go much further as a collectivity. So that's so if anything, since your question was about style, I think openness, curiosity, listen, but structure your learning so that it becomes very useful for all of us. I also think, in fact, I'm very convinced that not every professional is attracted to work in coordination. It's a choice that you make, really, where you think you fit as a personality, where you feel that you are most effective. Other people are, they really like to work with one stream of tasks and see deliverables coming out in a much more structured manner. So it's a choice we make somewhere in our career, I think, where we think we really fit best.